Salam, salam. Inshallah, everyone is doing well. I've noticed that a lot of online content, Islamic content, Muslim content, etc., is a lot of it is focused on commenting on contemporary issues. And while there's a place for that, it's not. I don't feel like that's my calling. I think a lot of that is dubious to start out with. But every now and again, something does happen that's important. And I did want to pop up in here just to comment a little bit about a clip that's circulating about Egypt's current Minister of Religious Endowments, the Minister of Awqaf, Dr. Usama al-Azhari. And the reason I want to comment is that Sheikh Usama is one of my teachers. And Alhamdulillah, I studied with him Hadith and I studied with him Aqidah. I spent a lot of time, one of the nice things about Sheikh Osama is we're very close in age. He's just a couple of years older than me, but he's vastly superior in the knowledge point of view from me, and he is my teacher, and I do afford him the respect that is due as a teacher. And because of that, it's something that's very close to me. I did want to comment because I thought it was important. The clip that's circulating is he was, I think it was last week, or maybe it might have even been this week, he was attending a PhD dissertation review, and he was asked, I think the dissertation was about atheism, the problem of atheism or the crisis of atheism, and he was asking the student or the young man who was defending his thesis to read a source. And then the sheikh that was reading the source, he says, oh, and you can see the fatawas and the Rasail of Ibn Uthaymeen. And then Sheikh Osama went off. He kind of just broke down into an Egyptian dialect. He's like, Hoda kalam, is that, how can that be? How can an Azhari quote from Ibn Uthaymeen? And there was a lot of, negative clips about that clip, again, commenting, and some people were supporting. And I'm not really here to jump into the fray of that, but simply to say, yeah, it's a standard thing. What does it mean to be an Azhari? And that's one of the Sheikh Osama's really big messages in life, and a lot of his intellectual output has been dedicated to articulating that. To be an Azhari, of course, there are different circles of association with the Azhar. It's such an old institution, over 1,000 years, and very large, and there's a lot of little moving parts. So not everyone is on the same wavelength on the micro issues, but on the macro issues, we are expected to follow some very basic principles. So when it comes to Islamic law, we must belong to one of the four madhabs. You can't study fiqh at the Azhar without entering into a college of Shafi'i fiqh or Maliki fiqh or Hanafi fiqh or Hanbali fiqh. Now the Azhar teaches other madhahib. There are classes on Shia law. There are classes on other schools of thought that didn't make it throughout time, but that's an intellectual pursuit. That's a scholarly pursuit. When it comes to practice, we are expected to follow a madhab. And when it comes to issues of aqidah, issues of theology, we are, unapologetically, we belong to the Ashari school, which is the predominant school of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The sort of the twin sister of that being the Maturidi school. And then we are also expected to be Junaidi in our tasawwuf. And what that means is that we acknowledge that tasawwuf is part and parcel of Islam. It's a critical component of Islam. All of what I just said is based on the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, Islam, Iman, Ahsan. But saying that you are Junaidi in tasawwuf is not sort of lip service. You got to be mutasawwuf here, and you got to actually have a spiritual practice. And to have a spiritual practice that you improve yourself with, and then hopefully as a young Azhari, as you're going out in the world teaching and giving khutbahs and dawah, whatever you end up doing with that training, that hopefully your state that's here will also impact the people's state around you. Now, nothing is new. This is how it's always been, and this is what the Azhar is known for. And you cannot be part of the Azhar if you don't follow that basic framework. So I'm surprised that some people took what Sheikh Osama said in a negative way, from the point of view of that. Well, what do they expect? To belong to an institution like al-Azhar that teaches Sunni Islam? Well, it has to define Sunni Islam, and that's how we understand Sunni Islam. It's encapsulated in the four Sunni schools of law, meaning their positive law, their furu'a and their usul, and the interpretation, tradition of interpretation, methodology of interpretation. And then we follow the majority school of theology, the Ashari school of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah means the Ashari and Maturidi school. And then we have our spiritual disposition to follow the way of Imam al-Junaid, which is currently encapsulated in the various Sunni tariqas. That's nothing new. It's always been like that. The other thing that Sheikh Usama said that's important is that Ibn Uthaymeen, and he said we respect everyone, and Allah have mercy on everyone who has passed away, but he does takfir of the Azharis, and I think a lot of people were like, no, he doesn't. Well, he does, in the sense that he does takfir of the people that follow the Ashari school, which is basically the vast majority of the ummah of Sunni Islam follows either the Ashari school, which is the predominant of the two Sunni theological schools, and the Maturidi school. So I'm a little surprised that people are surprised, or maybe it kind of hurt their feelings. I guess they're starting to realize, yeah, there are differences. And we're not going, as an Azhari, I'm not going to quote somebody that does takfir of me as an authoritative figure. They have no intellectual, scholarly, or spiritual authority over me. Why would I quote them? Unless I was debating them, as Sheikh Osama said in the clip. If I was debating something that they wrote, I would be quoting from them, because that's what you have to do academically. But when I come and I present my Islam, I'm quoting the people from my madhab of fiqh, or like Imam al-Nawawi, or when it comes to aqidah, I'm tracing something back to something that Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari wrote, or Qadi or al-Baqillani, or Imam al-Razi, or Imam al-Shafi'i, or Imam al-Ghazali, so on and so forth. I mean, that's in my Shafi'i Ash'ari world. Those are the type of people I would be quoting. Or if I was engaging with a Maliki discussion or Hanafi discussion, the appropriate authorities of those madhab. The vast majority of the ummah falls in that category, and therefore the Azhar methodology is very broad, in the Sunni world that is, very broad and encompassing. One of the things also about being an Azhari is we don't do takfir of people. So I'm not going to do takfir of somebody just because they make takfir of me. I'm always going to try to find a way to keep them within the family of Islam. As we say, the people of the Qibla, the people that pray the 5 prayers, that say the Shahada, there's a sanctity involved in that statement, even if they say things that we disagree with. So I'm a little surprised, but at the same time, sometimes maybe I assume things, and sometimes people don't share that same understanding, and therefore it needs to be articulated, but that is a correct articulation. If you're an Azhari, that's what your Islam means, and that's what it is defined as, and it has been like that for centuries upon centuries, and an unbroken chain back to the founders of these schools, and from them directly back to the Prophet ﷺ. So maybe there is room, maybe there is a need to create more content to describe what does a Sunni methodology look like, and what does a Sunni approach to law, theology, and tasawwuf look like. Just wanted to pop in and comment on that briefly. Hope everyone is doing well. Talk to you soon. Be well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.